Hi there, it's Wendy from Ask the Landlady, and I'm here with all the tips and tricks to help you make a profit in real estate rentals. So today's question is, I have a tenant who keeps asking for different exceptions like the rent lowered and new carpet and other items. So the question is, should I make exceptions for tenants to keep my properties rented? Okay, my answer here is no. And I know some of you are going to say, well, it depends, you might want to make an exception, there's other circumstances. However, if you have educated yourself on your market and know that your rent is right where it should be for your type of unit that you're renting, then there's no need for you to make an exception, because somebody comes along and says, well, I'd take the apartment if it was $100 cheaper. Well, if you know your market and you know your unit, you can wait for that next person to come along and give you that extra 100 that you want as part of the rent. And people might say, well, I'm not barely going to be here, so I should only pay, $1,000 instead of $1,200. That's not your problem. The apartment is $1,200. That is what's going down. You can't account for the fact that they may only be there on weekends or just during the week, or that's all irrelevant. The rent is the rent is the rent, and your market supports it for your type of unit. You've done your research, so don't make that type of exception. I fell into this trap in the past of trying to play the game of making my prospective renters happy, getting them on the hook, but I've learned that if the commodity is priced correctly, there is no reason to do that. Simply wait for that next person to come along. Now, there are some areas, like if somebody comes in and they're like, I took the apartment with the carpet, again, if you've done your research, you know that that carpet is adequate for that level of apartment. Now, this is where you can play let's make a deal, which price out. Okay, well, what do you want? You want new carpet? The apartment rent would then be this amount, because then you can take that and divide it out over 12 months. Say the carpet's going to cost $1,200. You could say, sure, okay, this apartment now instead of $750 is $850 a month, but I'll put in the new carpet, and in fact, you can pick the color. So that might be a win-win situation where you get that upgrade in there with the higher rent, because it should have a higher rent. Again, if you have appropriately priced your unit with the type of flooring and what's in there, and it's not like the carpet's stained or dirty, it's just they didn't like the color, or they just wanted new carpet because some people have some allergen issues and they're just concerned about it, then they're going to be willing to pay for that. That is an upgrade, and that should be reflected accordingly. You don't make the exception and lower your standards or lower your profit margin because somebody's pushing you on that. That's the thing here. The take-home point that I want you to have is do your homework. Have your rental point correctly chosen and put your policies in place. When you allow someone to demand changes, you're creating more work for yourself and potentially decreasing the profit margin. You're also opening yourselves up to fair housing issues with other tenants. If you do make the exception for this person, you're going to have to start to make it for everyone else. It's like when you collect late rent from somebody, but you don't allow these people to do it, but you do allow this person, you can't do that. You can't make those types of exceptions and be a fair housing provider. So that's something that you want to think about as well. And we are in this to make money, right? When you purchase real estate, you take on the risk of providing housing for others, and all this work, unless you're, is not a hobby. It's not just an activity to please others. It is a business. So you need to think about that and put those policies and procedures in place. Speaking of which, if you have difficulty coming up with policies and procedures, hit me up. Come to my website, askthelandlady.com. I sell my packet of forms for just $19.95, and I do have my book for sale there, Lessons from the Landlady, where I go into a lot more detail about these issues so that you can see what types of policies and procedures might be good for your business to help you make the most money you can make. Because again, it's not easy being a landlady or a landlord, and we're all in this together. So hit me up, subscribe to my channel so I can keep answering your questions, and give me some of your questions down below in the comments. I would love to keep answering them, and tell me if you've had an issue where an event where it made sense to make that exception. I'd like to hear about that as well. So thanks. Have a great day.